The galaxy was old. Civilizations had risen and fallen for millions of years. Empires ruled, collapsed, and vanished into dust. In all that time, the galaxy had learned one thing: never ignore a new species. But when humanity first appeared among the stars, the galaxy made the same mistake again. It began with silence. For centuries, humans had remained hidden in their small corner of the Orion Arm. They were late to space travel compared to others. Most great empires ignored Earth, calling it a primitive blue planet. To the powerful, humanity was too weak, too small, and too unimportant. They were wrong. The first sign of humanity's arrival came when the Zorith Dominion sent a fleet toward Sol. It was supposed to be a simple mission: observe, intimidate, and if possible, claim Earth as a colony. To the Dominion, it was routine. They had crushed hundreds of worlds before. The flagship Talon of Fire led the fleet. Its commander, Admiral Velox, was confident. Reports said Earth had only just discovered faster-than-light travel. What could a newborn species do against the might of an empire that had ruled for 5,000 years? But as the fleet approached the system, strange things began to happen. Sensors failed. Communication lines broke. The Dominion's navigational computers glitched, showing errors they had never seen before. Some ships lost power for minutes, drifting helplessly. It was as if the very stars resisted their presence. Admiral Velox grew uneasy, yet he pressed forward. When the fleet entered the Sol system, they expected resistance, small defense ships, maybe some outdated weapons. Instead, they found silence. Earth's orbit seemed empty. No ships, no defenses, just the blue planet turning slowly below. "Is this truly all they have?" one officer whispered. Velox laughed. "Pathetic. Prepare the landing forces. This will be quick." But before the order could be carried out, something impossible happened. The stars themselves shifted. Or at least that was how it appeared to the Dominion. Space rippled, like water disturbed by a stone. From the darkness, ships emerged. Not alien ships, not crude machines, but something unexpected. Human warships. They were not massive like Dominion dreadnoughts. They did not glow with alien technology. Instead, they were sharp, angular, built for war, with names painted boldly across their hulls. UNS Dauntless, UNS Valiant, UNS Retribution. There were only 7 of them. Against 20 Dominion warships, the numbers looked hopeless. But there was something in the way they moved. Precision. Unity. Every human ship turned as if guided by one mind. Admiral Velox narrowed his eyes. "Do they think 7 ships can face my fleet?" Then the humans spoke. A transmission cut across every channel, clear and cold. The voice was steady, carrying no fear. "This is Admiral Helena Ward of the United Nations Fleet. You have entered human space without permission. Leave now or face consequences you cannot imagine." The Dominion officers laughed. Consequences? From 7 ships? It was absurd. Velox smirked. "Transmit my reply. Tell them we will not negotiate with primitives. Tell them Earth belongs to the Dominion now." The message was sent. But before the humans could even answer, the first shot was fired. Not from the Dominion. From Earth. A beam of light erupted from the planet's surface. It was not a weapon the Dominion recognized. It tore through the void like a spear of fire, striking one of the Dominion cruisers. In seconds, the ship was gone, atomized, reduced to glowing fragments. The Dominion fleet froze in shock. That was no primitive cannon. That was power on a level they had never seen from a young species. And then the human warships moved. They attacked with terrifying precision. Every shot hit its mark. Missiles flew, cutting through shields as if they were paper. Railguns pounded, tearing ships apart with brutal force. The Dominion fleet fought back, of course. Their weapons were advanced, their numbers greater. But it did not matter. The humans were faster, sharper, and colder. They fought like predators that had been waiting for this moment. Within minutes, the balance shifted. Dominion ships exploded one by one. The fleet began to break. Panic spread. Admiral Velox could not believe what he was seeing. "This is impossible. They were supposed to be weak." But humanity was not weak. Humanity was patient. For centuries, Earth had prepared in silence. While the galaxy dismissed them, they had studied war. They had learned from their own bloody history, world wars, endless conflicts, the art of strategy. Humanity had never forgotten how to fight. And now they brought all that history into the stars. The last Dominion ship tried to flee. But before it could escape, Admiral Ward's voice returned, calm and deadly. You came uninvited. You thought we were prey. Let this be your lesson. Cross humanity, and watch your empire fall in flames. Her words echoed through the comms as the final Dominion ship was destroyed. Silence returned to space. The Sol system was safe for now. But news of the battle would spread. Other empires would hear. They would whisper about the humans, the species that had crushed a Dominion fleet with only 7 ships and the fire of a single planet. And for the first time in 1,000 years, the galaxy felt fear. Because they remembered the warning. A new power had arrived. And this power was human. The Battle of Sol spread like wildfire across the galaxy. Fleets in distant sectors whispered of it. Merchant ships carried rumors faster than light. The story was always the same. 20 Dominion warships entered Sol. None returned. At first, the great powers did not believe it. The Zorith Dominion had ruled for 5,000 years. Their fleets were unmatched. Their armies feared. How could a new species, with only 7 ships, destroy such a force? But then recordings appeared. Transmissions leaked. Fragments of the battle showed human warships cutting through Dominion cruisers with brutal efficiency. The image of Earth firing that mysterious beam spread across every channel. The words of Admiral Helena Ward were repeated in every tongue. Cross humanity, and watch your empire fall in flames. The galaxy trembled. In the council halls of the Dominion, chaos erupted. Lords argued. Scientists denied. Generals demanded answers. Admiral Velox's failure was unthinkable. Some claimed it was an ambush. Others called it a trick. But one truth remained. Humanity had sent a message. And the galaxy had heard it. Far from Earth, in the core worlds of the Arcanis Empire, Emperor Zoltran watched the reports in silence. The Arcanis had always viewed themselves as the guardians of order. They respected strength and despised weakness. To them, humanity was supposed to be nothing more than a minor species. Yet now, this minor species had humiliated their ancient rivals, the Dominion. The Emperor's advisors urged caution. Do not underestimate them, one said. They are young, but dangerous. Perhaps it was luck, another argued. No new species can rise so fast. They will fade, like many before. But Zoltran was not so sure. He remembered the look in Admiral Ward's eyes from the recordings. That was not luck. That was certainty. Send envoys, he ordered finally. Test them. See what they are truly capable of. On Earth, humanity celebrated their first great victory. But inside the halls of the United Nations Fleet Command, the mood was grim. Admiral Helena Ward stood at the head of the War Council. Around her were the leaders of Earth's new fleet, men and women who had sworn to defend their home against whatever came from the stars. We won the battle, she said, her voice firm. But the war is only beginning. The galaxy will not ignore us now. Some will fear us, some will hate us, and some will try to destroy us before we can rise further. The officers nodded. They knew she was right. Humanity had revealed itself too soon, but there was no turning back. What should we do? One asked. Admiral Ward's eyes were cold. We give them a warning. Clear, simple, and final. They must understand who we are before they decide to test us again. The warning came in many forms. Human warships were sent beyond Sol into nearby systems. They carried beacons, broadcasting the same message in hundreds of alien languages. This is human space. Trespass and you will not return. We seek peace, but we do not fear war. Remember Sol. On alien trade routes, human patrols appeared without warning, scanning ships, marking their presence. They did not attack, but their silent observation made many captains nervous. Even more shocking, humanity began to show technology that no one thought they possessed. weapons powered by kinetic force, shields built from layered magnetic fields, missiles that changed direction mid-flight. These were not stolen technologies. They were human inventions, born from centuries of war on Earth. The galaxy started to understand. Humanity was not imitating anyone. They were creating something new. But warnings are never enough. There are always those who refuse to listen. On the edge of Dominion territory, a small human exploration vessel, UNS Pathfinder, was seized by a Dominion patrol. The Dominion commander, still blinded by pride, ignored the danger. He believed the first battle had been a fluke. He thought humanity could still be broken. The crew of Pathfinder were taken prisoner. The ship was destroyed. The Dominion sent a message to Earth, mocking their weakness. When the message reached Admiral Ward, the War Council fell silent. "They want a war," one officer whispered. Ward's expression hardened. "Then they will have one." Across the stars, humanity's warning became something else. Not just a message, but a promise. Wherever their ships went, whispers followed. "They are not like the others. They do not bend. They do not forget." And in the shadows, empires began to fear. If the Dominion could not crush them, who could? But not everyone feared. Some were curious. Some saw opportunity. In a hidden station orbiting a dying star, a group of alien leaders gathered in secret. They were not allies, but they shared one goal: to understand humanity. A tall, insectoid speaker clicked its mandibles. "They destroyed the Dominion fleet. That is true. But we must ask, was it their full strength? Or only a glimpse?" Another, a reptilian warlord, hissed. "They are dangerous. If they grow unchecked, they will challenge us all. The galaxy must act before it is too late." But a third, smaller voice disagreed. "Or we ally with them. Imagine their fire joined with ours." No empire could resist. The room fell silent. For the first time in centuries, the balance of galactic power was shifting. Humanity had forced every empire to rethink its place in the stars. And all because of one warning. On Earth, Admiral Ward stared out the window of the fleet command station. Below her, the planet glowed blue and green, beautiful and fragile. Above, human warships patrolled the darkness. She knew the storm was coming. The Dominion would not forgive. The other empires would not remain silent. But she also knew something else. Humanity had faced extinction before. They had fought each other in endless wars. They had survived plagues, famines, disasters. Now, united for the first time in history, they were ready to face the galaxy. Her voice was quiet, but her officers heard her clearly. "They think this is only a warning. They do not understand. This is the beginning." The warning of humanity echoed across the stars. Empires listened. Some trembled. Some plotted. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy did not look toward the Dominion or the Arcanis for power. All eyes turned to Earth. But warnings do not always prevent war. Sometimes they invite it. In the High Council of the Zorith Dominion, rage filled the chambers. The loss of 20 ships was a wound they could not hide. Pride burned hotter than reason. "The humans must be punished," one lord demanded. "They are nothing but upstarts," another hissed. "If the galaxy sees us defeated, our rule will crumble." The Supreme Chancellor of the Dominion slammed his clawed hand against the table. "Enough. We will crush them. But not yet. We cannot show weakness again. We will strike with cunning, not strength." So the plan was made. Not an open assault, but betrayal. Weeks later, humanity received unexpected news. The Arcanis Empire, long rivals of the Dominion, sent envoys to Earth. They arrived not in warships, but in golden diplomatic cruisers. Their voices were calm, their tone respectful. "We have watched your rise," the Arcanis ambassador said. "We respect your strength. We offer alliance. Together, we can protect our borders and ensure peace." For many humans, it was tempting. To have an ancient empire stand beside them would secure Earth's place among the stars. The United Nations Council debated for days. Finally, they agreed to meet the Arcanis Emperor in person. It was a chance for humanity to prove they were not only warriors but also diplomats. Admiral Helena Ward herself led the delegation. With her traveled scientists, soldiers, and statesmen, they boarded the UNS Resolute and set course for Arcanis Prime. To the galaxy it looked like peace. But in the shadows the Dominion smiled. The trap was set. As the Resolute traveled through hyperspace, Dominion agents struck. Hidden ships emerged from cloaked fields, firing disruptors that tore at the human vessel's shields. The humans fought back fiercely. Railguns pounded. Missiles screamed through the void. 2 Dominion ships were destroyed in seconds. But there were too many. The Resolute was captured. Admiral Ward and the human delegation were taken prisoner. The Dominion believed it was their greatest victory. With humanity's strongest voice silenced, they could control the narrative. But they had underestimated humanity again. Back on Earth, the news arrived slowly, through fragments of broken transmissions. At first, there was disbelief. The Resolute was one of their strongest ships. How could it be taken? Then came anger. Human fleets mobilized instantly. Soldiers prepared for war. Across every city, people marched, shouting the same words. Bring them back. For the first time, humanity's unity was not just for defense. It was for vengeance. Meanwhile, inside the Dominion prison station, Admiral Ward stood unbroken. Chains bound her, but her eyes burned with fire. The Dominion interrogators tried everything. They threatened Earth, mocked her people, promised mercy if she surrendered humanity's secrets. She only laughed. You still don't understand, she told them. You think this is victory? You think chains will stop us? You think walls will hold us? Her words unsettled them. There was no fear in her voice, only certainty, because she knew something they didn't. Humanity never abandoned its own. And she was right. Days later, the Dominion station trembled. Alarms blared. Outside, shadows moved through space. Human warships had come, not with diplomacy, but with fury. The UNS Valiant led the assault, followed by the Dauntless and the Retribution. Their arrival was like thunder. Dominion defenses opened fire. Plasma cannons streaked across the void. But humanity answered with precision strikes, tearing holes through walls of steel. Inside the station, Dominion soldiers panicked. They had expected weeks, maybe months, before a rescue could even be attempted. They did not understand how fast humanity could act, how far their reach already was. In less than an hour, the station's shields collapsed. Human Marines stormed the halls, fighting with brutal efficiency. Room by room, corridor by corridor, they advanced. The prisoners were freed. And when Admiral Ward walked out of her cell, leading the survivors, the galaxy's fate changed again. The Dominion's betrayal was exposed. Every recording of the battle, every captured transmission, was released by humanity to the galaxy. The message was clear. They offered peace. The Dominion answered with treachery. The galaxy reacted with shock. Even those who despised humanity could not deny the truth. To betray a peace delegation was an unforgivable crime. The Dominion thought this would weaken humanity. Instead, it gave them allies. Smaller civilizations, long oppressed by the Dominion, reached out to Earth. They had lived in fear for centuries. Now they saw hope in the humans, the only species bold enough to strike back. But in the Dominion's council halls, fury raged. Their plan had failed. Instead of breaking humanity, they had made them stronger. Yet pride would not let them stop. They must be destroyed, the Supreme Chancellor roared. Every ship, every city, every trace of them. Burn it all. The order was given. War was no longer hidden. It would be open, brutal, total. On Earth, Admiral Ward stood before her people. She looked into the cameras, her face projected across every screen, every station, every ship. They betrayed us, she said simply. They wanted to break us, but they will learn what every enemy of humanity learns. We do not forgive. We do not surrender. And we never stop. Her voice hardened. The Dominion has chosen war. Then war they shall have. The crowd roared. The fleets prepared. The galaxy watched. The betrayal had begun a fire. And that fire was human. The galaxy had seen betrayal before. Empires often schemed, tricked, and destroyed one another. But this betrayal was different. The Dominion had taken humanity's diplomats, broken the laws of peace, and tried to crush a species that had only just stepped into the stars. Instead of destroying them, the Dominion had awakened something it could not control. Now humanity prepared to strike back. In orbit above Earth, the United Nations fleet gathered. Ship after ship rose from the planet's surface and the shipyards on the Moon and Mars. Cruisers, frigates, carriers, every vessel humanity had built, every weapon they had forged, was now called to war. On the command bridge of the UNS Valiant, Admiral Helena Ward watched as the fleet assembled. More than 100 ships floated in formation, their steel hulls gleaming against the darkness. To the galaxy, it was still a small force compared to the massive empires. But to humanity, it was everything. Ward's voice carried across every channel. They thought we would break. They thought chains could hold us. They thought betrayal would silence us. They were wrong. Today, we show them what humanity truly is. The crews cheered. This was not just a battle for Earth. This was war for survival, for pride, for vengeance. The target was chosen carefully. Instead of striking at random, humanity aimed directly at the Dominion's pride, a fortress world known as Korath Prime. It was one of their strongest military outposts, defended by fleets and planetary cannons. For centuries, it had been the symbol of Dominion power. To attack it was madness. To win would be impossible. Unless you were human. The fleet launched. Faster than light, drives flared, and the ships vanished into the void. In silence, they crossed the stars, their course known only to a few. When they emerged from hyperspace, the Dominion was waiting. Hundreds of ships, massive battleships, swarms of fighters, more than 10 times the human fleet. Admiral Ward stood calm at her station. Her officers looked at her, nervous but ready. "They outnumber us," one whispered. Ward's eyes narrowed. "Then we even the field." The first strike came from humanity's newest weapon. As Dominion sensors locked on, Earth's ships launched projectiles. Long, slender, silent. At first, the Dominion commanders laughed. Primitive missiles? Against their shields? Then the missiles split apart, hundreds of smaller warheads scattering in every direction. They bent, turned, and accelerated with impossible precision, guided by artificial intelligence born from centuries of Earth's warfare. The sky lit up with explosions. Dominion ships burned before the battle had even begun. The laughter stopped. The fleets clashed. Human railguns thundered, hurling solid slugs at velocities the Dominion shields were never designed to stop. Cannons roared. Fighters darted between massive ships, dogfights exploding in bright flashes. The Dominion fought with arrogance, relying on numbers and brute force. Humanity fought with strategy, precision, and fury. Every shot counted. Every sacrifice had purpose. Where the Dominion spread their fire wildly, humanity focused, tearing enemy ships apart one by one. The void became fire. On the surface of Korath Prime, Dominion commanders shouted in panic. They should be losing. Why aren't they losing? But the truth was simple. Humanity had prepared for this. Every battle in their history had taught them something. They had studied war like no other. And now they were writing a new chapter, one in the stars. At the height of the battle, the UNS Dauntless took a direct hit. Flames spread across its hull. For a moment, it seemed the ship would be lost. But instead of retreating, the Dauntless rammed itself into a Dominion battleship, sacrificing itself to take the enemy down. The explosion shook the battlefield. Both ships vanished in fire. Admiral Ward lowered her head. "Your sacrifice will be remembered." And then her voice rose, cold as steel. "Press the attack. For Earth. For Dauntless." The turning point came when the human fleet unleashed their final weapon. From the UNS Retribution, a massive rail cannon fired, larger than anything seen before. The shot tore through space like a lightning bolt, punching through the shields of Korath Prime itself. The fortress world shuddered. Its defense grid failed. For the first time in 5,000 years, Korath Prime was vulnerable. Human dropships descended. Marines stormed the surface, fighting through the streets of the Dominion's proudest stronghold. Against armored aliens, against towering war machines, the humans fought with grit, courage, and relentless fire. The city burned. Hours later, it was over. Karath Prime had fallen. The human flag, blue and white, marked with Earth's symbol, rose over the fortress walls. Cameras broadcast the image across the galaxy. Every species, every empire, every citizen saw it. The impossible had happened. The Dominion had not just lost a fleet. They had lost their strongest fortress to a species they once called primitive. The galaxy erupted. Some cheered. Oppressed worlds saw hope. They whispered, "If the humans can do it, maybe we can too." Others trembled. Rulers saw their power threatened. They whispered, "If the humans can do this, who will stop them?" But one truth was clear. Humanity had retaliated, and they had won. On the bridge of the Valiant, Admiral Ward looked out over the burning world. Her voice was quiet, but her officers heard every word. "This is only the beginning. They betrayed us. Now we strike back. Wherever they think themselves safe, we will be there. We will remind the galaxy of one thing. Cross humanity, and your empire will fall in flames." Her words were carried across the fleet. The crews cheered, and in that moment the galaxy understood. The age of humanity had begun. Karath Prime had fallen. For the first time in 5,000 years, the Dominion lost its greatest fortress world. The image of the human flag rising above its burning walls spread across every corner of the galaxy. No one could ignore it. To oppressed colonies, it was a spark of hope. To mighty empires, it was a warning carved in fire. And to the Dominion itself, it was the beginning of collapse. Inside the Dominion's capital world, panic reigned. The Supreme Chancellor shouted at his council, but his voice no longer carried fear, only desperation. "They are only one species. They cannot defeat us all. We are the Dominion. We rule the stars." But his words rang hollow. Even the lords at his table could see the truth. Their fleets had been broken, their fortress destroyed, their enemies emboldened, and worse, whispers spread among their slaves. For centuries, the Dominion ruled through terror. Now fear shifted. It no longer served them, it served humanity. Across the galaxy, small civilizations began to rise. On the mining world of the Los, enslaved workers threw down their chains and raised human banners, declaring themselves free. On the ocean planet of Xiron, rebel ships painted Earth's blue and white colors on their hulls, calling themselves the Sons of Humanity. And on a dozen hidden moons, resistance movements that had been silent for centuries now shouted openly, "If humanity can fight them, so can we." The Dominion tried to crush these revolts, but every fleet they sent was met with disaster. Humanity struck not only in open war, but in the shadows. Convoys vanished. Garrisons were ambushed. Dominion ships exploded from mines that should not have existed. It was as if humanity was everywhere at once. But it was not only the Dominion that suffered. The Arcani's empire watched with unease. They had once considered allying with humanity, but now they feared them. "Today they burn the Dominion," the Emperor whispered to his generals. "Tomorrow they may burn us." The Arcanis debated war. Some urged a preemptive strike. Others argued for peace. But before they could decide, cracks appeared inside their empire. Worlds that had obeyed for centuries began to question their rule. Why follow an old empire of arrogance, when a new power, the humans, was rising with fire and steel? Rebellions spread. The Arcanis grew weaker without firing a single shot. In hidden stations, alien leaders whispered to one another. The Dominion crumbles. The Arcanis falters. Humanity grows. Some sought alliance. Others planned conspiracies. But none could deny it. The galaxy's balance of power was breaking. And all of it because of one species no one had taken seriously. Meanwhile, on Earth, humanity prepared for the next stage. In massive shipyards orbiting Mars, new battleships were built. Larger, stronger, faster than anything before. Carriers rose, filled with fighters that swarmed like hornets. The fleet that had once numbered 100 ships now doubled, then tripled. Factories on Earth burned day and night, forging weapons for the war to come. Scientists unlocked new secrets of energy and propulsion, mixing human creativity with salvaged alien technology. In only a few years, humanity had achieved what other empires took centuries to build. They were no longer the newcomers. They were contenders. Admiral Helena Ward stood before the United Nations Council. Her voice was calm, steady, unshakable. The Dominion thought us weak. The Arcanis thought us reckless. The galaxy thought us irrelevant. They were all wrong. We warned them once. They did not listen. Now their empires fall. The chamber fell silent. One council member asked, "And after the Dominion? After the Arcanis? What then?" Ward's eyes hardened. "Then we remind the galaxy that peace is earned, not demanded. If they want war, we will give it. If they want peace, they must respect it. Humanity will not kneel to anyone." The words spread beyond Earth. Transmissions were carried by traitors, rebels, and spies. Soon, entire star systems repeated them as if they were law. Peace is earned, not demanded. Humanity will not kneel. For the galaxy's old powers, it was terrifying. For the oppressed, it was salvation. The fall of empires continued. On the edge of Dominion space, the mighty fortress of Valor burned after a single human fleet arrived and destroyed its defenses in hours. On the rim of Arcani's territory, 3 worlds declared independence, backed by human marines. Even neutral empires, once untouchable, began to feel pressure. Trade routes shifted. Alliances wavered. Armies hesitated. Humanity was not everywhere, but the fear of humanity was. And sometimes, fear was stronger than fire. But not all was victory. Humanity paid a price. The UNS Guardian, one of their oldest warships, was lost in the Battle of Valor, its wreckage scattered across orbit. Thousands of Marines died on the surface of hostile worlds, fighting so others could be free. Yet even in loss, humanity grew stronger. Every fallen ship was replaced by 2. Every soldier's death became a rallying cry. The galaxy began to understand a terrifying truth. Humanity did not break under pain. Pain only made them sharper. At the height of the chaos, a strange thing happened. On a neutral world known as Kelros, ambassadors from dozens of species gathered. They expected to see Dominion and Arcani's envoys demanding order. Instead, it was humans who arrived. Admiral Ward herself entered the chamber, her steps firm, her eyes burning with resolve. She spoke not with arrogance, but with certainty. "We did not ask for this war. We did not seek to burn empires. But when betrayal comes, when chains are forced upon us, we fight. And when humanity fights, we do not stop until victory is ours." Her words shook the chamber. Some envoys cheered. Others trembled. But all understood. Humanity was no longer warning the galaxy. Humanity was reshaping it. And in the darkness of space, as empires burned and alliances crumbled, one truth remained. The fall of the old order had begun. And at its center stood humanity. The galaxy burned. The Dominion was collapsing. Its fleets shattered. Its fortress worlds conquered. Its people rising in rebellion. The Arcani's empire, once proud and untouchable, fractured under the weight of doubt and fear. Smaller empires hid in silence, watching the storm spread from system to system. At the center of it all stood humanity. A species once ignored, once dismissed as primitive, now reshaping the balance of power. But victory was not yet complete. One final battle remained. Far away, deep in the Dominion's heart, stood their capital world, Zereth Prime, a planet of spires and fire, defended by the largest fleet ever assembled. If Zereth Prime fell, the Dominion would be no more. The galaxy waited. Could humanity do the impossible once more? In orbit above Earth, the largest human fleet in history gathered. Hundreds of ships, carriers filled with fighters, battleships armed with rail cannons larger than cities. Each vessel bore the scars of war, but each stood ready. Admiral Helena Ward, now a legend across the stars, stood on the bridge of the UNS Valiant. Her officers waited for her command. She looked out at the fleet. "This began with betrayal," she said softly. "They thought they could chain us. They thought they could silence us. But humanity does not kneel. Humanity does not break. Today we end this war. Today we show the galaxy what it means to cross us." Her voice echoed across every ship. Soldiers cheered. Pilots raised their fists. Civilians watching on Earth cried out in pride. The order was given. Set course for Zereth Prime. When the human fleet emerged from hyperspace, the void lit up. The Dominion's armada stretched across the stars, thousands of ships, massive dreadnoughts, swarms of fighters, the largest force humanity had ever faced. The Dominion commander, desperate to salvage his empire, spoke across the comms. "Humans, you are children playing with fire. You cannot stand against the might of the Dominion. Surrender, and we may yet spare your world." Admiral Ward replied with calm steel. "We warned you once. You betrayed us. Now you will pay the price." The channel cut. The war began. The Battle of Zereth Prime was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Railguns thundered like storms, ripping dreadnoughts in half. Fighters danced between capital ships, missiles chasing them like angry wasps. Human carriers unleashed swarms of drones, small but deadly, overwhelming Dominion defenses. The Dominion fought with desperation, hurling everything they had. But humanity fought with fury, precision, and something more, the unbreakable will to win. Every ship destroyed was replaced by another pressing forward. Every Marine lost became fuel for vengeance. The sky above Zereth Prime burned. On the planet below, Dominion leaders panicked. The Supreme Chancellor screamed for reinforcements, but none came. Fleets that should have rushed to his side refused. Some had already surrendered. Others had joined the rebellion. The Dominion had ruled by fear for millennia. But fear had shifted. Now, their own soldiers feared humanity more than their masters. The collapse had begun. At the height of the battle, the UNS Retribution fired its great cannon. The shot tore through the Dominion flagship, the pride of their fleet, splitting it in two. The Dominion commander's last words were drowned in static as his ship exploded into light. Admiral Ward watched the flames with cold eyes. "This is for every chain, for every betrayal, for every world you crushed." With their fleet shattered, humanity descended on Zereth Prime. Marines stormed the capital city. The streets ran with fire as humans fought through endless resistance. Dominion soldiers broke and fled. Civilians cheered as the empire that had ruled them for centuries finally fell. Inside the Grand Palace, the Supreme Chancellor was dragged before Admiral Ward. His eyes burned with hatred. "You cannot rule the galaxy," he spat. "It will destroy you as it destroyed us." Ward stared at him, her voice steady. "We do not seek to rule. We seek respect. Remember this as your empire burns. Humanity warned you. You did not listen." The Chancellor's last roar was drowned by silence as the palace collapsed around him. The Dominion was dead. The galaxy changed forever. Worlds long enslaved declared independence. Old alliances shattered. New ones formed. The Arcanes, shaken and weakened, signed peace treaties with humanity. Smaller species, once ignored, now looked to Earth as a protector. Humanity had not only survived, they had risen. But humanity did not claim thrones or demand tribute. Instead, they sent one final message, broadcast across every channel, spoken in every major language, carried on waves of light and sound. "This is the voice of humanity. We did not ask for this war, but we did not run from it. We do not seek to rule, but we will not kneel. To those who want peace, we offer friendship. To those who seek war, remember Sol. Remember Korath. Remember Zereth. Cross humanity, and your empire will fall in flames." The words spread like fire. Every ruler, every soldier, every child across the stars heard them. Some wept with relief. Others trembled with fear. But none could ignore them. On Earth, celebrations shook the skies. Cities lit up with banners of victory. Families embraced their returning soldiers. The blue planet that had once been forgotten now stood at the heart of a new era. Admiral Ward stood alone on the deck of the Valiant, staring at the stars. For a moment, she allowed herself a rare smile. Humanity had endured. Humanity had triumphed. And somewhere, in the silent dark between stars, the galaxy listened to the final message. The age of humanity had begun.